And I have Blake on the line. Are you there, Blake? Hold on a
Hi, Jenny.
second.
I'm here.
You are here? Hold on a second.
I'm definitely not your enemy.
Ah,
I'm your
you're not
friend.
my enemy, sweetness. No one's my enemy. Everybody is
No,
their own worst enemy, really. I mean, it depends on what we do. But we want to talk about our most important asset today. And
that's
Blake,
right.
most people say their house or their super is their biggest asset, but you say differently. So would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, exactly, Jenny. I mean, if you ask most Australians what the most important asset is, they're going to say what you just said: house, super, car. But it amazes me, and what most people don't even think about is their income.
Mm.
Income is your key asset. We spend most of our life thinking about it, most of our life driving to it. Everything revolves around our income. We wouldn't have super, mortgage, car, the holiday, the cost of raising the family. Going overseas, we wouldn't be able to do any of that or have any of it without our income. So many people don't think of it as an asset, but it's a vital asset as part of someone's wealth plan.
Well, I mean, you have to have an income to create your super, really.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's what I have to do. I have to get a
Everything
job.
revolves around the income, is what I'm trying to... That's my key message. Income is an asset.
And to put away the most that you can, I think it's up to, is it up to 12% now? Back in my day, it was
Um,
9%.
in in super, yeah, it's heading up that way. In future dates, the government's putting increases in how much your employer puts into super, and so yeah, it's even more important that people look at their own incomes and what they can do with their income as well. Put more into super, put more onto the mortgage. All these things can get you ahead. So income, is an asset. And the thing is, what I would want to talk about is if people start to realise, well, income's an asset and it's so important, I'd like to ask, why do we insure the house and the car, but not people's income?
Well, that's exactly. I mean, how do people take care of their biggest asset?
Exactly that. If I looked at, general Australians, 19% of households have no life insurance. 35% have no disability insurance. And that isn't the whole problem. When we add underinsurance, so having a form of insurance but not enough, we find that Australians are underinsured for disability by $304 billion dollars and underinsured for premature death by $800 billion dollars. So we've got a bit of an insurance problem here where people aren't looking after their assets.
Also, with Australians, everyone that lives here, a lot of people, they ignore that their income is a huge asset.
Mm,
It's just, oh, it's a weekly wage, just, food on the table, pay the bills, but I mean, there's more to it, isn't there? Tell us.
exactly. Well, what would you do if your income wasn't there? Who would pay the bills? Who would pay the mortgage? How would you be able to go on your holidays? How would you achieve your life goals? All these things, our whole life, our home, revolves around our income. And without it, people end up in, pretty dire situations. It's a really important thing to have a look at what's your plan if something ever happened and this wasn't here. What does that picture look like?
Exactly. And also, I mean, with your insurance, it is in your super. Is that correct? Your
Well,
insurance.
not not entirely. I think lots of people think, oh, I've got insurance in my super. That'll look after it. But they don't know, is it enough? What sort of insurance is in there? There are some pretty mediocre insurances out there that don't last a long period of time or don't pay you enough. And some supers don't have default income protection. It might not be in there. So we talked about super last week, and insurance is another reason to, well, don't just assume. Have a look at your super. Have a look at what insurances are in there and check, is it enough? And is it the right type of insurance for you?
Do you have any extra tips at all for anybody
Well,
that, they just let things go all the time and they let things just
yeah, well,
lie?
I think if I looked at the reasons why people don't, look at income as an asset or don't look at actually delving into, am I insured? Let's have a look at it. It's important. I think people, like to use creative avoidance or stick their head in the sand. It's a negative topic for some people. Sickness, accident, illness, death. So it's easier not to talk about. They weigh up the cost benefit, compare the expense of getting insurance with the likelihood of something actually happening, and people decide insurance isn't worth it. They get sick of aggressive sales techniques, or the insurance salesman pushing it onto them, and the already covered syndrome, Jenny, which you just said. Oh, I'm sure I've got some in super, or my employer will look after it, or there's workers' comp. So my one tip, and the way I look at it, is if you focus on it as an asset, wouldn't you rather be protected than looking into a crystal ball? Crystal ball things, it won't happen to me, I'm bulletproof. It happens to people. And and you don't want to be that one person that happens to that you're not insured. So once you see it as an asset, I mean, as I said, you insure your home, you insure your car. So once you realise income is my most important asset, then you need to protect it.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for all of those healthy tips, Blake Chandler.
No
And is there
problem,
anything you'd like to close on before we end this conversation and we speak again next week on a new topic?
As I always say to most of my clients, it's important to make informed decisions. You need to make sure you have all the facts. So have a look at what's in super, how much should you need, what's the cost of it, and make an informed decision.
And talk to our expert, Blake Chandler,
and
his...
give us a call.
Yes, definitely, at Yellow Brick Road, and they can phone you at 1300 782 995. If anyone's missed the number, I'll say it again, 1300 782 995. And you can get in contact with Blake Chandler and his team at Yellow Brick Road. Blake, thank you so much for your time this morning, and that was very interesting.
Thanks, Jenny.
And we'll have something different to talk about next week. You have a great day, Blake. Thank you. Bye for now. So that was Blake Chandler, if anyone had just tuned in, and Blake will be back with me next week, and we'll be talking a little bit more about different things that happen in Yellow Brick Road.